In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 331 for Friday, September 10th, 2010. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham. We are your Spacevidcasters for this week. We're also, of course, joined by Twitter and our IRC chat room. And if you didn't know, we do these shows live every Friday at 2 a.m. Coordinating Universal Time. And you can join us right here at spacevidcast.com. It's way better to watch the show live than it is to do it after the fact, watching on YouTube.
Or Roku. Or spacevidcast.com.
Hey, and actually, speaking of Roku,
Yes.
we have over 20,000 installs of our Roku channel now.
Awesome.
And Pete released an update to the channel earlier today, which brings
Was it Pete or
screensaver.
was it Todd?
I don't know. Which brings screensaver support. So if you go to your settings in your Roku box, you can get to a Spacevidcast screensaver. It also brings in the audio podcast that we're doing. And one other feature.
There should be a Twitter button.
Oh yeah, you can tweet it out. Oh, and it works on in standard def now too, I believe.
Yes.
Which it didn't do before yet. But why would you watch this awesomeness in standard def? I don't understand.
No.
No. High def only. High def only.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Are we gonna do any of the news, or should we just get straight? We have got we have an awesome guest on tonight.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the intro of our awesome guest?
Well, you do it so much better, though.
Okay, but I didn't.
Your
actually.
nemesis?
No.
Really?
Yeah,
you
no.
keep calling him Nemesis. For those of you who weren't paying attention earlier, Will Pomerantz from X Prize Foundation is joining us, also known as DJ Dr. P, also sometimes known as Nemesis to either Benjamin Higginbotham or Tim Bailey, depending on the day, I suppose.
I believe William is now our most frequented guest on the show.
It is possible, which is
it's
probably why I
close
don't see
between
Bailey in the
William
room.
Could be.
Yeah, I think he's a little upset.
So William works for the X Prize Foundation and is the director of space. Oh, William, I forgot your title. You're like
His
director.
title changes every time we talk to him.
That's true.
We don't even bother with the title anymore.
It's like director of space ops, or what is your official title over there?
I guess technically it's Senior Director of Space Prizes, but I just like to think of it as Nemesis.
Right.
I almost put Nemesis in the title bar above you. This close. So welcome back to the show for the 413th time.
Which is
you.
impressive considering it's only our 104th show.
It is.
Yes.
That's the superpower that William has. So,
I think in addition to the classic "What's your favorite orbiter?" debate, we could now have a question of between Tim and myself, who's Steve Martin and who's Alec Baldwin?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
So some news and X Prize. You brought on a new GLXP team.
Yeah, we did actually. It was pretty much the fastest turnaround I can imagine. We have. Some of our Google Lunar X PRIZE teams go through a partial registration process we call filing a letter of intent. And this team, the Rocket City Space Pioneers, filed a letter of intent, and then their full registration, I want to say 24 hours later, had been approved by us, maybe 24 or 48 hours after that, and then were announced to the public inside of a week after that. So just an amazingly fast turnaround. But we're really happy to have them on board. As they say, they may be entering the game a little late, but they're coming in with a lot of momentum. It's a powerhouse team built around team leader Tim Pickens, who, among other things in his illustrious career, was the chief propulsion engineer for Spaceship One during its Ansari X Prize winning flights. So we're happy to have that heritage back involved in the competition, and he brings a whole lot of other incredible people to the competition with him.
You know, there are a lot of teams that already are starting to build hardware. Is it going to be a disadvantage for them to be joining this late, or is it doesn't really matter because, you know, it is what it is?
Yeah, no, at some level it is what it is. There's definitely a little bit of a disadvantage, but Tim has had a lot of things going on behind the scenes for a while, so I think I'm pretty confident he's going to hit the ground running.
That's going to be awesome. We saw him do a presentation at the New Space 2010 conference at the lunch, and it was fun to watch him because he's like, you know, I had a bike, so I threw a rocket on it. You know, I had another little scooter, so I threw a rocket on it. It's like anything this man can throw a rocket on, he just so then I slapped a rocket on it. I was like, that's awesome.
People who came to the X Prize Cups in New Mexico may have seen the rocket truck and the rocket bike, and you're exactly right. That's just Tim's personality. He's got a colorful personality. I think his team is going to be a lot of fun to follow along with.
So how is the Google Lunar X Prize going along? You know, we kind of hear snippets and news pieces here and there of some of the different teams, but overall, how's it coming? Is anyone getting close to starting to launch, or are we looking at like a 2012 timeframe? What kind of stuff are we looking at?
You know, we're probably still a few years out, but things are going really well. We had a really important milestone just maybe a month ago when NASA rolled out a program called the Innovative Lunar Demonstrations Data Program, ILDD. It's essentially a $30 million data purchase from innovative lunar firms that can figure out how to send a robotic payload to the lunar surface on a quick turnaround for a small amount of money. It is exactly what we were hoping the Google Lunar X Prize would do. You know, when we first started researching what eventually became the Google Lunar X Prize back in the summer of 2006, we identified right away that space agencies like NASA and her sister agencies in other countries would be the immediate near-term #1 beneficiary of this program and of both the technologies and the talent pool that was identified by the prize. And we're really excited that NASA is sort of stepping up and realizing that is the case and that they would be well served to take advantage of it. So I think that's going to be a really important milestone. It also sends a clear signal to the investment community who'd been a little bit on the fence trying to figure out if, given the political environment in Washington, D.C. right now and some of the uncertainty about the future of NASA's exploration program, those investors or those potential investors are a little bit unclear how enthusiastic they should be about investing in Google Lunar X Prize teams. So I think this new program sends a very clear signal that NASA is excited about these. They view the Google Lunar X Prize teams and other groups like that as complementary rather than competitive, and that not only are they willing to purchase from them in the future, but they're already starting to purchase from them now.
What about the Ansari X Prize? When the Ansari X Prize was won, did that help with investment in next-gen space as well at that time? And
Absolutely.
Did that taper off, or did that just kind of help and then stay there, just not, you know, we just keep iterating it up?
No, I think it helped a lot to see in such a publicly visible and highly legitimate way, to see a small team prove that they could do something really impressive, and then to see a person like Sir Richard Branson to step forth. I mean, someone who not only is wealthy, but also who really values his personal name and his brand a lot, coming forth and slapping his brand very, very visibly on top of this, I think really did open the door for a lot of people to follow through and get funding of a variety of different kinds. So we're still seeing people back that up and actually deliver on those promises. Some of that's already happened. A lot of it's in the future, but definitely I think it was a catalyst.
Now, do you have any suggestions for either teams or new space companies that are maybe trying to get some funding? And even outside of the funding, you've kind of got the giggle factor where people look at that going, you're crazy. That's not going to happen. Do you have any suggestions along those lines as to what those startups might be able to do to kind of get around that?
Enroll in the Google Lunar X Prize. I mean, you're hitting on a key point, and that's one of the main reasons why prizes are effective. They take an area that is so high-tech or so ambitious that it does have a bit of a giggle factor, and it puts this seal of approval on it, where people can now say, hey, not only do I think I can go to the moon, but the X Prize Foundation thinks I can go to the moon, and Google thinks I can go, and these preferred partners think I can go, and these endorsers, Jim Cameron, Arthur C. Clarke, think that this is possible. That makes a really big difference. So being able to get involved in a competition like that or one of the NASA Centennial Challenges really makes a big difference. The other more general thing is show results. I think we're past the age where PowerPoint rockets and paper rockets can get you very far. And I'm tempted to make some political comments I really shouldn't make right there. So I'll say.
I was watching you bite your tongue. It was kind of fun for you to be like, and paper rockets. You want to start going down the list?
Oh, I will. I was just, so we have been talking about getting Will on again, and Ben kind of thought that maybe we had exhausted our possibilities with Will, but
because we've talked to him so many times.
I know, like 300,000 or so.
Yeah.
And but you know, there's always something going on with X Prize, even if it's not space related, like the Progressive Automotive X Prize, which I thought was really interesting and fascinating. And my father started talking to me about the X Prize Foundation and all of this stuff, and I was like, "Where? Yes, all of that, Dad. What's going on?" And he was like, "Oh, well, it was in my Consumer Reports." So that kind of helped bridge the gap between my father and I about some X Prize Foundation and some of the Progressive Automotive X Prize, what am I trying to say? Progressive Automotive X Prize without the foundation part. I know you're not terribly involved with that, but can you maybe touch on a little about what's going on with that and how that's going?
Sure. So just a quick summary, the Progressive Insurance Automotive X Prize is a $10 million prize for the next generation of super fuel efficient cars that are also sort of pre-production ready, road ready, and good looking. So we announced the prize, I want to say in early 2008, and it is actually wrapping up next week. You can watch the award ceremony live on Ustream, and I hope that you will all tune in. If you go to our website, you can find all the links to do that. We're going to be handing out several multi-million-dollar checks to a variety of different teams. I can't tell you whom yet. You'll have to wait until next week. But it is going to be incredibly exciting. And for people who've been able to watch that competition, I think you've seen some great stories. I mean, we had groups like the West Philly High team, these students from an inner city high school in Philadelphia who made it very close to the end. We have teams from all over the world that are participating. We have all kinds of different cars, all kinds of different fuel sources. So one of the reasons that we did this prize is that if you want to go out and buy a fuel-efficient car right now, first of all, your choices are fairly limited, and second of all, they're really not all that efficient. So when I bought my first car when I moved to LA, which was only 2 years ago, you know, I was looking around, I wanted something fuel efficient, and pretty much my choice was between the Prius and the Honda Civic Hybrid, which both look pretty similar. They have fairly similar performance characteristics. So it was A, limiting in that way. But B, even those, I mean, the mileage on my Prius is not all that much better than the two-door Geo Metro hatchback that my friend drove, you know, my best friend drove when I was in high school. We want to see a much broader range of cars, and we want to see a much higher level of efficiency, and I think this prize has really helped us get there.
Let me ask you, what was the official title for this again? It was the Progressive Automotive Insurance...
Progressive Insurance Automotive X Prize.
Progressive Insurance Automotive X Prize.
Well, and somebody asked in the chat room. No, wait. But somebody asked in the chat room what the X for the X Prize stood for, and it was kind of touched on a little bit. But if you could maybe expand on that a little.
Yeah. So when we got started as a foundation back in the mid '90s, and we were rolling out what eventually became the Ansari X Prize, we really put in X as a placeholder because we figured sometime in the not too distant future we would get either an individual donor or a corporate sponsor, and we would insert their name where the X was, and it would have become the Coca-Cola Prize or the Spacevidcast Prize. It proved a little harder. Yes, exactly. that may be coming soon. You heard it here first.
God, now we're in trouble.
It proved a little harder than we thought to find that first title sponsor, so we had X in there for a while, and it actually works really well. I mean, it has the great connotations with all the X vehicles. Certainly that made a lot of sense with the Ansari X Prize being so closely patterned on the performance of the X15 vehicle. And it has a ring to it. It caught on, so we kept it and adopted it as our brand. And
then you end up with I think my favorite
And then you
today,
end up with the Progressive Insurance Automotive X Prize.
I think my favorite to date still is, though, the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander Challenge, which, say that 3 times fast.
Well, it's not just the Lunar Lander, it's like wasn't there a longer variation of that as well?
It's now, it changed around a few times, so it's now the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander X Challenge, because now now we're talking about two different classes of incentive prizes that we do. We have X prizes, which are sort of $10 million and plus, and 4 years to 7 years ballpark, and then X challenges, which are sort of the little brother of that.
Oh, that's cool. Speaking of little brother, tell me a little bit about the Moonbox competition.
Oh man, we're so excited about this. We just wrapped up Moonbots, which was really, I think, our coolest educational program to date. Certainly on the Google Lunar X Prize side, our friends on the Automotive Prize have had some good ones as well. This was basically a competition for teams of students aged as young as 9 and as old as 18 to essentially win the Google Lunar X Prize with Lego. So it was divided over 2 different phases. Teams had to do computer-assisted design of Lego robots. They had to be doing weekly blogs and video blogs. And in the end, they had to build a pretty large moonscape out of Lego surfaces. It was like 2 meters by 2 meters, roughly 7 feet by 7 feet. It was full of obstacles like craters and ridges, as well as a landing pad, and they had to build an autonomous robot using the Lego Mindstorms kit that could sort of complete a simulated Google Lunar X Prize mission on a live webcast in under 3 minutes. We had a great group of teams, including one of our finalist teams, Tater Tot, that appeared here on Spacevidcast a few weeks ago. I hope people will go back in your archives and watch that one. They were a fun group. We just announced the winners last week. Really, really impressive groups. It was almost impossible to choose. Our judges had such a hard time picking between them. But the winning group was a team called Landroids based out of New Jersey. Just an incredibly impressive group. They scored the best technical score and also had one of the better team documentaries. I hope everyone will go to our YouTube channel and check that out. Really, really a fun group.
Where's the YouTube channel at?
They can just go to youtube.com/Google Lunar X Prize. And if you go there, we have a playlist of all the teams' live missions. Plus, every team had to do a mission documentary where they talked about who the team was and what they learned, all those kind of things. You can find a separate playlist for all those. And the winning team, their prize is, among other things, they get to go to Lego headquarters in Denmark and tour the factory and meet a bunch of the corporate execs. And I am outrageously jealous.
Wouldn't it be cool if the Lego headquarters was made of Legos?
It would be cool. They have, they have Legoland just down the street, but actually they do really interesting things. They've been a great partner of ours. They actually, when they are thinking about their sort of mechanical, their industrial processes, they model them all in Legos. So if they're thinking about redesigning the shop floor, they do it all in Lego first. It's
Oh my
That's awesome.
God.
They
That's
closed our
awesome.
Legoland at the Mall of America, and they're
They're
completely redoing it.
completely redoing it.
We've had people come by once in a while and be like, "Did you know they closed Legoland?"
Well, and the other thing is that our particular Legoland had a model of the Earth, and it had the ISS, although it was totally wrong because it was missing the last panels. And it had a space shuttle and all of the stuff that we always like to go by and look. And the moon, Todd was up there. And we like to go by and look at all that stuff, and everything is just completely, it's just this huge open space. Last time we looked, that was about a week ago. I suppose by now it could be completely brand new and open, but...
Has nothing to do with space, but Legos are cool.
No, but it was.
We had a question from the chat room, William, which was, what does Google get from these prizes? Is it just advertising? I mean, they're fronting, there's a good chunk of change that they're putting up for the Google Lunar X Prize for all the different purses they've got. What do they get out of it?
It's a great question. We actually started with the personal support of a lot of the Google execs. Larry Page is on our board. Sergey Brin and Eric Schmidt have both been personally quite supportive of us, and actually now Eric Schmidt's wife is the title sponsor for our newest X Challenge, the Wendy Schmidt Oil Cleanup X Challenge. So a lot of the idea was born in sort of especially Sergey's personal enthusiasm for lunar exploration and wanting to get people excited about it, and then spun it up from there. It's funny because this is actually Google's first major sponsorship. They don't put their name all over things like a lot of other similar companies do. Usually, if their name is on something, they are directly involved in running it in a way that they're not with this prize. So there's some great quotes from Sergey where he's talking about how other companies have decided to put their names on sporting arenas or on yachts. They wanted to do something a little more googly and thought this was it. there certainly are some marketing elements from it, but mainly what it is they, and Larry actually is very eloquent on this, as Larry says, science and engineering these days have a marketing problem. Not enough people care about science and engineering. Not enough people want to go into science and engineering. And Google is very interested in that because not only are people interested in science and engineering using Google products, they also are the Googlers of tomorrow. So they're interested in using this prize to do everything from getting some cool video that's going to be posted to YouTube and photos to Picasa, but especially to planting the seed in the next generation to tell them, hey, you should go to school and study hard in science and technology, and you should want to work for an innovative company like Google down the road.
Well, in the chat, so for us space geeks, this is a great first step. I mean, and it takes a lot of oomph to put up this much money, and then that's half of it. Then the other half of it is being a team willing to, because they have to invest money in this too, right? And there's no guarantee that they're going to win. And it takes years of their life, most likely, to try to win this particular prize. So it takes a lot of effort on everyone's part to win this particular prize. But hopefully, much like the Ansari X Prize, which a industry is being born out of that when you look at it, Virgin Galactic, Spaceship Two, White Knight 2, and Sir Richard Branson from Spaceship One and Scale Composites and whatnot. Maybe the same thing will happen with the Google Lunar X Prize, but the chat room is bringing up, okay, that's great, but where's the Mars X Prize? Where's the human exploration of Luna? Where are the other prizes? Are we just doing iterative steps, or what will it take to do a prize that gets us to Mars, or something like that?
Well, we're definitely not done yet. We've got a bunch of other ideas sort of that we're kicking around. We're not about to announce anything just yet. We've got our hands full with this one, but we're always thinking about what comes next. I don't think it's going to be Mars just because I don't think that the back-end market exists for private industry to do Martian exploration in the way that it does for lunar exploration now. There's nothing to say that that won't change in the near future, but I do think until we have a fairly radically different launch technology, probably private industry is going to be a little bit priced out, where the amount of investment a team would need to successfully mount one of those missions and the price person, all those things would just be a little bit too large for right now. But we are looking at other prizes and other technologies, everything from space debris cleanup, asteroid mining, as I see someone's mentioning in the chat room. That is one of our ideas that we're thinking about. We are also looking at that fundamental launch technology. That is the key game changer. If you can change the cost of getting something to orbit, that changes everything else in the space arena. So we're trying to figure out how we can maybe approach that with an incentive prize.
You had mentioned being able to make money from it, right? Because if you just do the prize and nothing ever comes of it, then what was the point?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, what's the long-term point for putting rovers on the moon? Where's the money? Where's the industry in that?
Well, to get to your fundamental point first, and then I'll answer that. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. If someone does the job, wins our prize, and never does the job again, that's a failure mode for us. We are not in the business of one-off victories. Those are cool, but those are more like stunts, and we want to be revolutions that are fundamental game changers. So whenever we're considering our prize, whenever we write the rules, we are definitely thinking about what is the back-end market here, and actually, ideally, what are the multiple back-end markets here? We want more than one, because we want the prize to result in a real industry, not just a single player, but 2, 3, 4, even more players that are pursuing overlapping, but ideally not identical business plans. For the Google Lunar X Prize teams, for private lunar exploration, I think there are a couple different markets. As I mentioned earlier, the obvious immediate term one is in servicing governments. Essentially, every space agency around the world is interested in going to the moon right now. They can all benefit from this sort of turnkey capacity for a really low cost, really rapid schedule lunar surface exploration. It allows them to do everything from scouting out potential landing sites so they can select really the ideal one, to testing out, providing heritage for new hardware. One of the reasons that progress in the space industry is not as fast as many of us would like is because everyone is incentivized only to use technology that's already been proven to work. So it would be nice to have sort of a mission where you can test something new, and if it doesn't work, at least if it doesn't work as you thought it would, you're not writing off that much of a cost, even if it does result in a total mission failure. So that's one of the near ones. I think it's also going to liberate funds from entirely new players. You know, there are countries out there that can't afford to do a lunar mission on their own, but might enjoy the opportunity to fly a single payload, or maybe even to purchase dedicated mission at the kind of prices that our teams are talking about. We've already seen that with a number of countries flying Earth orbiting satellites that maybe they can't start their own equivalent of NASA, but they can buy a satellite from Surisat in the UK, and we can have our first Nigerian satellite, or our first satellite from Singapore. All these other countries have done similar things. It's also, hopefully, if we've done our math right, and if our team's projections are roughly accurate, we're probably getting to the point where flying a payload on one of these vehicles is within the price range of a university, and certainly is within the price range of a large number of high net worth individuals. And if you think about the amount of money that maybe a well-established research university spends to outfit a new lab for a new professor, or to undergo a campaign to Antarctica or on an ocean-going vessel, I mean, universities are prepared to spend a decent chunk of change if they're getting unique, scientifically valid results, and the moon has got that in spades. So we think there are a number of other markets. Our teams have thought of a bunch that we had never anticipated that I'm not really at liberty to share, but I'm very confident that there is the market there. We had a consultancy called Futron do a market study about a year ago now, sort of looking at a rough order of magnitude level about the market cap for commercial lunar services over the course of this decade, and they came up with an estimate of between $1 and $1.5 billion with a B dollars.
Wow.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot more than I thought it would be.
So the winning of the Google Lunar X Prize is a little bit off in the distance at this point, but you've got a Google Lunar X Prize Summit coming up. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we once a year we have what we call a team summit. This is a chance to bring together sort of the CEO level executives from the majority of our teams. You know, these teams are based all around the world, so they don't get a chance to meet us in person very often, and they essentially never get a chance to meet each other in person. It's really, really helpful and also really, really fun to get them all under one roof. It gives us a chance to have some frank discussions about the rules and about how judging is going to proceed. It also gives us a chance to sort of present some lessons learned and everything from here's how to be a better video blogger, which goodness knows some of our teams could use, to some slightly more technical things. But actually, one of the most fun things is just watching the teams and how they interact with each other. In my experience, at the first 3 Google Lunar X Prize team summits and at a variety of summits for the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander X Challenge, these teams go out of their way to help each other. These summits have resulted in teams merging in the past. They've resulted in teams doing business with each other where one becomes a supplier of another, all these wonderful things. So we'll be doing this summit on the Isle of Man in the British Isles during World Space Week. So we'll be there on October 4th and 5th. I know October 4th is a big anniversary in the space industry, not the least of which is for us, with that being the final flight of Spaceship One. So we'll be excited to be celebrating that with our teams.
And also in October is the zero-G flight with James Cameron, isn't that right?
That is absolutely right. Yeah, we are doing, as a fundraiser, you can go online right now and you can bid on 3 seats that we are auctioning off to fly on the zero gravity airplane with a bunch of prestigious guests, including Jim Cameron. So you'll get a chance to meet the Avatar, Titanic, etc. director, and maybe even more fun for some people, fly in zero-G, which is pretty darn awesome already. If you go to ebay.com/Cameron, you can find information. We're offering off 1 single ticket and 1 pair of tickets. So if you have a loved one that you want to fly with, you can do that. And for people, most people have not been fortunate enough to fly in zero-G. I have, and I know a few people in the chat room, I see Tim is here, have. It's an unforgettable experience. It is absolutely amazing and worth every penny that you spend on it. It truly is a joyful, amazing opportunity, and at least a large part of it, if you buy it in the auction, will be a tax write-off. So hopefully people will go in and bid on that. It really is going to be a lot of fun, and that is Saturday, October 9th, I believe.
So you mentioned that zero-G was awesome, and this is going to be an easy yet hard question. Why? Why is it? What makes it awesome?
It's funny. It's actually awesome for different reasons for different people. It kind of falls into two different groups. There are a lot of people who are just like a kid in a candy store and are floating all over and are doing, all the tricks that they see the astronauts doing and are doing, imitating Spider-Man and Superman, and you're physically able to do the things that you can normally only do in your dreams. And for a lot of people, that is just astounding. There's a second group of people for whom it's actually a very sort of Zen-like experience. If you've seen photographs or video of the interior of the zero-G aircraft, it's essentially all white space. If you imagine a typical Boeing 727 with most of the seats removed and the overhead bins removed and all white, that's essentially what you're going to see. And then zero-G itself is actually a very calming environment. I mean, it is. Your body is weightlessness. You just float up. So you'll see a number of people who will just kind of go into some elaborate yoga pose and have their eyes closed and just be relaxing at total peace. So it kind of is different for different people.
Interesting.
Did you have more on your list?
No, that's everything.
Because I was looking. Oh, well, we already covered that.
We did.
I'm completely disorganized today. It's fantastic.
Apparently.
Where can people get more information about all? Actually, before we go into that, we didn't cover all of the available X Prizes. You want to just do a quick summary of all the different available X Prizes and X Challenges that you've got? They're called X Challenges now too, right? X Prize, X Challenge.
Yeah, so let's see. We talked about Google Lunar X Prize. We mentioned the Progressive Insurance Automotive X Prize. We also have the Archon Genomics X Prize. That's another $10 million prize available to the first company that sequences 100 human genomes in 10 days or less for $10,000 or less. And they have a variety of accuracy requirements that we feel is going to really unlock an era of personalized medicine and the way that a lot of us read about when we first when the first genome was sequenced. But that doesn't really come true until we have a statistically valid data set to pull off of. So that's on now. You could register a team tomorrow if you would like. There is also our most recently announced competition is called the Wendy Schmidt Oil Cleanup X Challenge. We just announced that about a month ago. It was our fastest turnaround ever. X Prize, we traditionally are not an emergency response organization. We are planning things out, 5, sometimes 10 years in advance. But when we saw all the things that were happening in the Gulf of Mexico earlier this year, with the Deep Horizon oil rig, a lot of people came to us and said, hey, you can be of help here. And we looked at it and agreed and talked to all the leading experts from the oil and gas industry, from the major oceanographic institutes, and decided that a prize for capping an oil well probably wasn't feasible, but a prize for cleaning up oil that has already been spilled in water, whether that's from a similar rig accident or something more similar to the Exxon Valdez from 20 years ago, that there was a big place for that. So we just rolled that out a few weeks ago. We are in the process of pre-registering teams, and the competition for that will essentially take place over the next year. Those are our active ones. We've got a bunch of other ones sort of in the oven, if you will. We just announced a partnership with the government of India and with IIT Mumbai, which is sort of India's equivalent of MIT, to work on a prize for clean burning cook stoves, and I don't know, dozens of others that are in progress.
Nice.
Okay, so now where can people get more information about not only the X Prize?
You mean you're not going to ask him if we can cover the zero-G?
Well, all right, I'll let you. The chat room wants us to cover the zero-G flight, the James Cameron one, live, and I believe the quote was, "Make it happen, Will," and that came from Tim, just so you know.
I think Tim is actually more likely to be able to make that happen than I am, but we'll see what we do.
Where can people get more information about the different X Prizes, as well as where can they find you online?
So the best place to start is always xprize.org. That'll take you to the sites for all the other prizes. We at the Google Lunar X Prize are googlelunarxprize.org. We're pretty active on Twitter and on Facebook for each of the different prizes. So you can check out GLXP on Twitter or just search for Google Lunar X Prize. I'm Pomerantz, my last name, on Twitter, also on Facebook. I really do encourage you, go to Facebook. Respond to watch the Automotive X Prize award ceremony next week. Tune in for that. It's going to be really a lot of fun. You won't regret the time you spend watching that, because you really are watching the future in progress. We don't get to award these things very often. It's a really big occasion when we do. So I hope that people will tune in and watch that.
Yay.
Did you give out your personal Twitter account and stuff?
Yes.
I missed that for some reason.
You weren't listening?
No, I was.
He was like, blah, 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 it's my last name, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know, you ask him one question and he just keeps talking for like 5 minutes.
William, before I let you go, you're sitting in front of what looks like a white towel, but I don't believe that to be an actual towel.
I think he got rid of the chair and he didn't want to tell anyone.
I don't know what's going on there, but is there some epicness happening back there?
Are you ready for this?
I don't know. I need to be sitting down. Am I sitting down? I think we're ready.
Yes, we're sitting
Chat
down.
room, are you prepared for what's about to happen?
For this.
Here it goes.
Oh, God.
All right, the big reveal. All right, here you go, people. And
it's the chair.
Oh, my God. The chair is there.
We totally should have done that in the beginning, so we had the entire chair for the show. But, you know, hey, at least we remembered to do it sometime in the show.
There we go.
William, thank you for joining us. We're going to come back to you in just a few minutes for post-show and continue the conversation with you in the chat room. So, again, thank you, and we'll see you in just a few.
My pleasure.
Great. And for everyone else watching live, if you'd like to see the continued interview, you can do that on Spacevidcast Epic. It starts at $8.33 a month, and you get a ton of content that comes along with Epic, not just single post shows. In addition, this show, which again I should have mentioned in the beginning of the show, not the end of the show,
Whatever.
is sponsored by Crow River Coffee.
Yay.
Yeah, you like that? They are the ones who make this happen. We are in a coffee shop. Can't you tell with all the coffee-looking stuff around us?
Yeah. Doesn't your coffee shop look like this?
Exactly. And if it doesn't, why not? What's wrong with your coffee shop? We're in a very cool coffee shop, and as such, they have built a custom blend of coffee just for us called Blast Off Blend. And that coffee can be purchased at crowrivercoffee.com. Do you have a bag of it by chance? All right, I'll take...
The best part is I am going to put all of the people, you guys who ordered last week and have gotten your coffee since then. I know some of you put some twit pics up and stuff like that, and I will be putting them on the site. As far as I'm concerned, they do count as a Spacevidcaster.
Absolutely. So the cool thing about Blast Off Blend, first off, it's a custom blend just for you space nerds, because space happens whenever space wants to happen.
Yes.
Which means 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever. It's going to launch whenever it's going to launch. And it may not even launch then, which means you're just going to have to be up for 24 hours straight. Caffeine helps. And here's the bag for Blast Off Blend. It's really kind of hard to see. It's kind of cool because it almost looks like the material. It's not the material, but it almost looks like the material made
We're just going to pretend it is.
for the lunar lander. Yeah, we're going to pretend like it is. And you get that. And we've been signing these bags, actually. Carrie and I have been signing these. So if you want a signed bag of Blast Off Blend, just go to crowrivercoffee.com, order your Bob, and we'll sign it for you and send it out your way. And it's also very, very fresh. Like it's roasted here.
It's roasted here on site.
So he roasts it here, and then when you order it, you choose whether you want the whole bean or the grounded bean. If you really want the fresher and you want it done right, you would have him ship the whole bean to you, and then you would grind it. So we're talking about extremely good, high quality, way better than anything you're going to get at like a Starbucks, a Caribou, Dunn Brothers, anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazingly awesome coffee, and if the chat room isn't talking about it and saying how awesome it is, they should be soon. Talk about it. Talk about it. And then as Carrie Ann said, take your pictures of your Blast Off Blend and post it, and we're going to add them onto our website so everyone can see
Just
how
add
awesome and great it
Spacevidcast
is.
us so that we know.
And again, this is something that helps the show, right? They sponsor us, and so whatever we can do to help them so that they can get a little bit back to help keep the show going, all the better. And so buying a bag of Blast Off Blend certainly helps. And helps to keep the show going. It all goes into the coffee shop.
Yeah,
we
don't get that money.
Yep, absolutely. So all right, Bob is awesome because I say so.
Duh.
That's the way it works. Hey everyone, I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you. Do we have a guest next week?
I don't know.
Then we'll see you next week.
In 1969, on the moon. In 1972, our journey. We've never.
Frequented guest on the show.
It is possible, which is
it's
probably why I
close
don't see
between
Bailey in the
William
room.
Could be.
Yeah, I think he's a little upset.
So William works for the X Prize Foundation and is the director of space. Oh, you know, William, I forgot your title. You're like
His
director.
title changes every time we talk to him.
That's true.
We don't even bother with the title anymore.
It's like director of space ops, or what is your official title over there?
I guess technically it's Senior Director of Space Prizes, but I just like to think of it as Nemesis.
Right.
I almost put Nemesis in the title bar above you. I was this close. So welcome back to the show for the 413th time.
Which
thank
is
you.
impressive considering it's only our 104th show.
It is.
Yes.
That's the superpower that William has. So,
I think in addition to the classic "What's your favorite orbiter?" debate, we could now have a question of between Tim and myself, who's Steve Martin and who's Alec Baldwin?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
So some news and X Prize. You brought on a new GLXP team.
Yeah, we did actually. It was pretty much the fastest turnaround I can imagine. You know, we have some of our Google Lunar X PRIZE teams go through a partial registration process we call filing a letter of intent. And this team, the Rocket City Space Pioneers, filed a letter of intent, and then their full registration, I want to say 24 hours later, had been approved by us, maybe 24 or 48 hours after that, and then were announced to the public inside of a week after that. So just an amazingly fast turnaround. But we're really happy to have them on.
In 1969, a group of astronauts changed the world. They walked on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1972, our journey ended. We've never been back. 2010 begins a year of change. Private companies are working on next-generation spaceships. Governments are looking to go back to the moon and on to Mars. It's time to look up and dream again. It's time to push humans into the cosmos. It's time to educate and engage the planet. It's time for Spacevidcast.
Welcome to Spacevidcast 331 for Friday, September 10th, 2010. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me, as always, is the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham. We are your Spacevidcasters for this week. We're also, of course, joined by Twitter and our IRC chat room. And if you didn't know, we do these shows live every Friday at 2 a.m. Coordinating Universal Time. And you can join us right here at spacevidcast.com. It's way better to watch the show live than it is to do it after the fact, watching on YouTube.
Or Roku. Or spacevidcast.com.
Hey, and actually, speaking of Roku,
Yes.
we have over 20,000 installs of our Roku channel now.
Awesome.
And Pete released an update to the channel earlier today, which brings screensaver.
Was it Pete or was it Todd?
I don't know. Which brings screensaver support. So if you go to your settings in your Roku box, you can get to a Spacevidcast screensaver. It also brings in the audio podcast that we're doing. And one other feature.
There should be a Twitter button.
Oh yeah, you can tweet it out. Oh, and it works on in standard def now too, I believe.
Yes.
Which you didn't before yet. But why would you watch this awesomeness in standard def? I don't understand.
No.
No. High def only. High def only.
Yeah.
So Yeah, there you go. Are we gonna do any of the news, or should we just get straight? We have got we have an awesome guest on tonight.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the intro of our awesome guest?
Well, you do it so much better, though.
Okay, but I didn't.
Your
actually.
nemesis?
No.
Really?
Yeah,
you
no.
keep calling him Nemesis. For those of you who weren't paying attention earlier, Will Pomerantz from X Prize Foundation is joining us, also known as DJ Dr. P, also sometimes known as Nemesis to either Benjamin Higginbotham or Tim Bailey, depending on the day, I suppose.
I believe William is now our most
on board. As they say, they may be entering the game a little late, but they're coming in with a lot of momentum. It's a powerhouse team built around team leader Tim Pickens, who, among other things in his illustrious career, was the chief propulsion engineer for Spaceship One during its Ansari X Prize winning flights. So we're happy to have that heritage back involved in the competition, and he brings a whole lot of other incredible people to the competition with him.
There are a lot of teams that already are starting to build hardware. Is it going to be a disadvantage for them to be joining this late, or is it doesn't really matter because it is what it is?
Yeah, at some level it is what it is. There's definitely a little bit of a disadvantage, but Tim has had a lot of things going on behind the scenes for a while, so I think I'm pretty confident he's going to hit the ground running.
That's going to be awesome. We saw him do a presentation at the New Space 2010 conference at the lunch, and it was fun to watch him because he's like, I had a bike, so I threw a rocket on it. I had another little scooter, so I threw a rocket on it. It's like anything this man can throw a rocket on, he just so then I slapped a rocket on it. I was like, that's awesome.
People who came to the X Prize Cups in New Mexico may have seen the rocket truck and the rocket bike, and you're exactly right. That's just Tim's personality. He's got a colorful personality. I think his team is going to be a lot of fun to follow along with.
So how is the Google Lunar X Prize going along? We kind of hear snippets and news pieces here and there of some of the different teams, but overall, how's it coming? Is anyone getting close to starting to launch, or are we looking at like a 2012 timeframe? What kind of stuff are we looking at?
We're probably still a few years out, but things are going really well. We had a really important milestone just maybe a month ago when NASA rolled out a program called the Innovative Lunar Demonstrations Data Program, ILDD. It's essentially a $30 million data purchase from innovative lunar firms that can figure out how to send a robotic payload to the lunar surface on a quick turnaround for a small amount of money. It is exactly what we were hoping the Google Lunar X Prize would do. When we first started researching what eventually became the Google Lunar X Prize back in the summer of 2006, we identified right away that space agencies like NASA and her sister agencies in other countries would be the immediate near-term #1 beneficiary of this program and of both the technologies and the talent pool that was identified by the prize. And we're really excited that NASA is sort of stepping up and realizing that is the case and that they would be well served to take advantage of it. So I think that's going to be a really important milestone. It also sends a clear signal to the investment community who'd been a little bit on the fence trying to figure out if, given the political environment in Washington, D.C. right now and some of the uncertainty about the future of NASA's exploration program, those investors or those potential investors are a little bit unclear how enthusiastic they should be